Good afternoon, Mr. Holland-Müter. I'm sure my pronunciation is wrong.
No, that's fine, Chief Justice Holland-Müter. But
Müter, yes.
I've been living with that for a long time, the incorrect pronunciations.
But I want to know the correct one.
Holland-Müter.
Okay, okay.
May I remove my mask?
You may.
Thank you.
Okay. So, good afternoon, Mr. Holland-Müter. You are most welcome. Thank you for availing yourself for this interview.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you. I see that you hold the degrees of B.Juris and LLB. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you got your B.Juris in 1978 at the University of Pretoria.
Yes.
And your LLB in 1993 at, well, the B.Juris you got in 1978 at the University of Pretoria and the LLB at UNISA in 1993.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. And you started to work as a clerk in the Department of Justice.
Yes.
In 1975.
75.
Yes. And then 1981 to 1982, you were a prosecutor. 1982 to 1988, you were a magistrate. 1988 to 1998, you were a law lecturer.
That's
at Justice College.
That's correct.
Yes. And did you go back to being a magistrate?
No, no.
You went to the bar?
I joined the Pretoria Bar in 1998 after resigning from the Department of Justice.
Yes. And you have been practicing since then?
Yes.
Yes. And you too, when did you take silk?
The committee, the Silk Committee, recommended me in 2018. It was only conferred in July 2019.
Yes. And can you tell the commissioners about the types of cases you have been doing in your practice? What types of cases your practice has consisted of?
Chief Justice, I can describe myself as, in medical terms, a general practitioner because I do criminal work, I do family law, I do law of contract, law of delicts, so it's a rather wide practice.
Yes. And commercial law, you said? Did you
yes,
include it?
I do commercial law and insolvency law, yes.
Yeah. And labor law?
No, I don't. I haven't done. I've been there to the labor court twice, but it's not my forte.
Yes. Okay. And have you done any constitutional cases?
Yes. It's reported in 2007, State versus Tunzi.
Yes.
It was a matter which arose in the Eastern Cape with the rationalization of the Department of Justice's all the different acts from the previous independent homelands. I was briefed in with Advocate de Jager on behalf of Justice. So we had to investigate the 4 previous independent republics as well as the other self-governing states whom have accepted the old Dangerous Weapons Act and whom have not, because in the Eastern Cape it turned out that the Kai River divided the Eastern Cape after 1994 into two separate two pieces of land, but as the Eastern Province. And to the north of the Kai River, the previous government there did not implement the dangerous weapons, while to the other side of the Kai River it was. So there was a discrepancy whether in one district in the Eastern Cape minimum sentence in terms of that act was applied, while in the other instance not. And Judge Kuman, they picked it up and it was referred to the Concord, and I was briefed in and I did most of the research work for my leader, Advocate de Jager. So yeah, I have been in the Concord.
And during the time when you have been in practice, are there any reported cases in which you were involved?
Yes. There is a list, the latest. May I just say that when I started to act, one of the senior judges on the same floor where I took up chambers said, you don't mark your judgment, reported or not reported. That's for a committee to look at that. So up until around end of 2018, I didn't have a look at which judgments may be reported or others not. But then there was the matter of Botel versus the RAF, which I didn't mark reportable, but the SCA upheld my decision and it was reported by the SCA, in which they confirmed my judgment. And then there are a few other judgments. There is a list, if you will allow me. Must I go to the list?
Well, not necessarily, but if you are able to, do you want to give the commissioners a sense of about how many those cases, reported cases are?
Reported, there are matters reported in the Judicial and in the Butterworth, but then there are also a couple of cases reported on SAFLI.
Well, I'm more interested in those that are reported in the South African law reports.
If I'm correct, there should be 5. If I'm correct,
there should be 5.
Yeah. As the acting judge,
as an advocate,
as an advocate, which I can. Off the cuff, it's about 4 which I can remember out of the first now.
Yes, and then those that are reported as your judgments when you were acting, you say about 5.
Yes.
Are those that you are talking about reported in the normal law reports?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, all right. Thank you. Judge President Lambo.
Thank you very much, Acting Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Advocate Holland-Müter.
Afternoon, JP.
Thank you. This is the second time you come to the JSC, am I correct?
That's correct.
The last time you came was 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
It was 2019 October.
Yes. Thank you. You have done quite an amount of acting in the Gauteng division, especially in Pretoria, am I correct?
You're correct.
How many weeks in total? I think you filed several spreadsheets.
74 weeks. That includes last week's pro bono in the recess where I assist at the request of Judge Malopa.
Yes. And you've done work in all the work areas of the division, am I correct?
Yes.
That is criminal trials, civil trials, appeals, both full court, full bench, opposed motion, urgent court, special motion, unopposed, except for the tax court.
Except for the tax court, yes. All the others, yes.
All the others, yeah. And is there anything that you would regard as having changed, or if I use one commissioner's language, having improved since the last time you were here that you want to talk to us about?
JP, yes. My confidence grew over the last 2 years. If I take myself back to 2017, 2018, and a certain yardstick to measure it is how long you take to finalize reserve judgments. And since the last time around, I think I have decreased the waiting time for practitioners. I've become more confident, especially just after 2019, the last time I was here. The pandemic started to visit our country in February, and that brought about significant changes with regard to how to approach the court. As you would know, the virtual hearings, and myself being somewhat old school and somewhat of an illiterate person with regard to a computer, had to learn very quickly, to such an extent that, I am able to do it at this stage, so yes.
Yeah. And you've done a total of 58 judgments according to your list of judgments.
Yes.
And they span almost a very wide spectrum of law areas.
Yes.
Now, and you've also set out that you only had 3 judgments that you delivered beyond the 3-month period.
That is correct.
Was it beyond 3 months only or beyond 6 months?
No, it was beyond 3 months. None of them went further than 6 months.
I see. And then almost all the others within 1 month, 32, within 1 to 3 months, 23, and the rest, no, I think that's the sum total of it.
Yes.
So you regard yourself as ready, more than ready,
Yes, sir.
to get the nod to be recommended permanent.
Yes, JP. I feel confident,
Yeah.
and I feel that I have a lot to bring to the bench and to serve my country, to serve our country.
And in your advocate's life, in fact, your experience is that you did a lot of criminal work as a state advocate prosecutor. Am I correct?
I was a prosecutor. I wasn't a state advocate. I was a prosecutor,
yeah.
but I was in Witbank when I was there, magistrate. Although I was the civil magistrate, we did not have a full civil bench every week.
Yeah.
I did the periodical court, the criminal court at the Ogies periodical court on Tuesdays and on Fridays. So yes, I have a vast experience in criminal and civil.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Acting Chief Justice.
Thank you. Before I go to the MEC, I just picked up here, Mr. Holland-Müter, that you must be about 64, 65 now?
I turned 65 last Tuesday.
That strikes me because most of the time that's when a number of judges would retire, but that's when you are coming in.
Chief Justice, no. My health is good, and I see myself fit to serve at least 7 to 8 years. If we take, and I don't want to get involved into politics, but a session in Parliament is 5 years where people are elected. If I'm appointed, I can work 1 term of Parliament at least. So,
yeah, yes, no, but one of the things we ought to be to think about in this commission is a situation where somebody will come at the tail end of her work, of his or her working life, work for a few years compared to a lot of other judges, and then get the same benefits as them.
Chief Justice, it's not for getting a benefit, it's just because I still feel in myself that I have a lot to give back to the country.
No, you don't understand my question. My question is more directed. I know I mentioned about coming to the bench when you are left with a short period. It's more directed at simply saying, you are saying you think you will work another 7 years or so, but then you will get benefits having worked only for 7 years in circumstances where a lot of judges get those benefits having worked 15 years or 20 years, but you will get basically the same benefits having come to work only for 7 years.
Yes.
Why should we recommend your appointment when that is what's going to happen, as opposed to recommending somebody who is going to give the country another 15 years, 20 years before they get those benefits?
I hear what you say, Chief Justice, and I feel I have enough to give, and I've made provision, if I'm appointed, that I will only get a reduced benefit after retirement. I have reasonable provision to overlive that. So that is not a consideration on my side. On my side, consideration is the fact that I still have a lot of experience and knowledge to bring in to the department, to the bench.
But you understand my concern.
I understand yes, but on the other hand, the flip side of the coin is then I will only receive the reduced benefit, while others serving longer, they receive a larger benefit, which may have a negative impact on the fiscus.
Well, I don't know that you will get a reduced benefit if you go up to, for example, 75. You will have given the country about 10 years of service. If that's when you leave, you'll get full benefits, as far as I know.
Well, I'm not sure. I cannot answer you on that. But I am convinced that I can make, even though it is for 7 years, maybe a year or so longer. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball in which we can.
Well, you, as far as I know, you won't qualify to retire at 70.
Yes, that's correct.
You will not have served at least 15 years.
Yes.
You would have to go up to the mandatory year of 75.
Yes.
You know, so that's what would happen.
No, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
Acting Chief Justice?
Yes.
Can I just correct one thing?
Yes, yes.
That MPs do not retire on a full salary for the rest of their life.
Yes, yes.
I just wanted to mention
Yes,
that. Only
no,
a president who
yeah.
retires on a full salary.
I think that's
You
very
take your
important.
5 years,
Yeah.
and then you walk away
Yeah.
with your last salary. Thank you so much.
No, that's true. That's true. MEC Lesofit, do you have a question for the candidate?
Thank you so much, Acting CJ. Advocate, I'm just trying to get your understanding of transformation. What does transformation mean to you? Secondly, I've just gone through your CV. I couldn't see anything that I can associate with any form of transformation. Maybe I've missed it. Can you identify anything within your CV that you can claim that it contributed to transformation? Thanks.
Thank you, MC. My nomination by Mpaga SC from the Tshwane Society of Advocates is quite clear that since 1988, when he met me there as a second year student, that I went out of my way to bring this black student into the whole system, which was then a predominant white situation. And from there on, I continued to treat them similar and to create opportunities for those people who were previously disadvantaged. When I joined the Pretoria Bar, soon after I joined the bar, I was involved in the transformation subcommittee as well as the personnel subcommittee or the membership committee. And on the transformation committee, there was a drive. I was part and parcel of it, and I'm 100% convinced that it's correct, that we changed the system of intake of pupils, where it was predominantly, when I entered the bar, white and more white males were entered. We took decisions on a year-to-year basis in my tenure of 10 years of the Bar Council and on the Transformation Committee. We reduce the number of white people coming in, and we increase the numbers of black people, especially black females, so that we can empower them and we can assist them so that there can be a skills transfer to them so that they can benefit from that. You would also see that in the education in the Moot area in Pretoria, where I'm from, I was part and parcel of a transformation of underutilized the white primary school, the Rietfontein North Primary School, which had about 294 pupils when my eldest daughter entered there, but the capacity of the school was for about 700. And we started and we phased in every year. From grade 1, second year, they were promoted to grade 2, and we took in another grade 1. So over 7 years, we transformed that school to a parallel medium, and it's a predominant English medium with about 90% of the scholars at this stage there are from Mamelodi as black people, and they are benefiting from better facilities. They are benefiting from or most of the teachers still there are white teachers. So that's part and parcel of what I'm doing there. In the community, I'm involved at the Jacaranda Children's Home. We're in the house specifically under our jurisdiction and our denomination. From the 12 boys there, 7 are black boys and 5 are white boys. And we see to that, my wife and myself, is that these children are accommodated in the schools in the vicinity, so that we send out kids when they reach the age of 18 or when they obtain grade 12, that they can be useful citizens or people with a useful foundation, so that we can take them further into life. It's a long process. It's a long process. I also, with regard to where I am at the moment, pre-Legal Practitioners Act, the relationship between the bench and the bar was predominantly between the bench and the Pretoria Society of Advocates, or the then Transvaal Society of Advocates. After the Legal Practitioners Act came into being, there are many other associations, like the Tshwane Association, like the Northern Transvaal, and there are various others. I have been in talks with these people, especially at the Tshwane Society with Mr. Mpaga, Essie, and so on, so that I can, as soon as they get accredited by the LPC to do training, just to go and assist them also with training, and it would predominantly be to train new black pupils who are coming in. So for a long time, I've been devoting my energy to see that we can raise the bar with regard to the education of previously disadvantaged children. Does that answer your...
I have no further... Yes, thanks, Advocate. I have no further question, Acting Chief Justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, MEC. Commissioner Matolo Jebu.
Thank you, Acting Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Advocate. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I think it's a follow-up from the MEC's question, because on your I just felt lost on your application, on your questionnaire, especially on page 21, where you said the initiative, one of your initiatives was to focus on indigenous female people, and I was a bit, I just wanted clarity on what you meant. And secondly, on the issue of radical transformation, I think it's on page 9. Just to clarify it for me, what is it that you're doing? And more especially because most of the advocates talk about training. And as far as I know, SCs, what they can do is just to train, but the most important thing is to allow the juniors to have briefs. That's what I wanted to figure.
With regard to the words of indigenous, maybe it was not the best choice, but it is to refer to previously disadvantaged people of our country, especially black females. I know that some people are sensitive for the use of black and other for the use of indigenous. With regard to being a silk, yes, I have drawn in juniors. I've also taken some of the juniors, and during the training, in the small sessions which we have, the practical sessions, I normally evaluate the people there, and if there is a person, and fortunately there has been since 2016 in each group, black ladies whom I deemed to have the necessary potential, to take them, although I was not their mentors, But to take them on one-to-one after hours or during lunch hours and so on, if they were topics which they were not fully acquainted with. And I also introduced some of them to some of my attorneys so that they can take up junior work, which I no longer seemed deemed necessary for a SILT to do or for a senior junior. And of those, I know of 3 who are regularly briefed now on junior work by the attorneys who normally brief me for that.
Commissioner Nyambi.
Thank you, Acting CJ. Afternoon.
Good
Advocate.
afternoon, Commissioner.
Responding to JP, you said now we are more than ready than the last time you were here. Probably if you can share with us, if you can be appointed, part of what you can address as the immediate challenges of the divisions of Gauteng, as somebody that has acted for some time.
If I understand you correctly, which are the challenges of the divisions in the Gauteng, that is Johannesburg and Pretoria?
Yes.
The challenge, firstly, and the JP will know, is that the getting rid of paper and doing everything virtually electronically. A challenge there is that there are students or pupils, or junior advocates, single practitioners who do not have the means to fall into this, and they have to, in instances, go into debt to purchase quality electronic device, a laptop, etc., to do that. It is a challenge, and we all know that for the last 2 to 3 weeks, with the problem of the hacking of the system, is that a challenge not necessarily in the High Court, but in the lower courts, that some of the recording devices, which are all electronically, has to a large extent come to a standstill. And that frustrates witnesses, it frustrates clients. So a challenge is to see that we can expand on the electronic system, because it's a wonderful system. It's much easier to go on the left-hand side of your screen, to go to the different areas and scroll down, and you immediately go there where a council or so refer you to. So it is time saving. It is taking us into the future, the immediate future. But a challenge is to have a system there. And I know it's impossible to have a system which is fully 100% guaranteed against breakdowns and so on. But it is a challenge that when there is a breakdown, what is the backup to do so?
Thanks, Advocate. Thank you, DSJ.
Thank you, Commissioner Moimang.
Thank you, Acting Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Advocate.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Just one aspect from my side related to the comment raised by GCB while noting your transformatory commitment. They identify a gap in terms of the failure to dwell more in terms of your work in the pre-transition era of the criminal justice system, and also says the candidate does not appear to have attempted in his application to engage in detail with this involvement in the apartheid criminal justice system. So can you just probably take us into confidence as to whether is there a need to be concerned about this proposition?
You're referring to paragraph 16.2.
Yes.
Yeah. When I was a prosecutor and later a magistrate under the old system, I know that there are valid accusations that magistrates and prosecutors in many instances work together. I don't want to call it collude, but because they shared the same tea room, etc., that could have happened that case has been discussed. I can give you the assurance that I distance myself from that. I distance myself for the simple reason is because I took an oath when I became a magistrate, is that I will see to that justice be done to every person in the country. And you can't do that. If you collude or talk to other people. I was a prosecutor for a short while, then I became a magistrate. And as I've already elaborated on, 2 days a week I was a criminal magistrate in the court in Ogies and 3 days a week in the civil courts. At Ogies, I had there a police prosecutor, so he didn't travel with me from and to the court, to the periodical court, and I can give you the assurance that there was never an instance where I discussed a matter with the prosecutor because I deemed it that it was wrong to do so.
Thank you, Advocate. Thank you, Chief Justice.
CJ, I beg your indulgence. I want to just follow up one or two
Yes.
issues out emanating
Okay.
from this. I'm going to ask you very few short questions.
Sure.
In between 1981 and 1987, you were the prosecutor in Witbank. Is that correct?
I was a prosecutor for about a year, and then for about 6 months I was the senior prosecutor, and then I was appointed
No, it's okay.
as a magistrate.
Did you preside over any political cases?
No.
Because that time it was during the height of
No.
apartheid.
Because for some reason, the head of the office then, because I was the civil magistrate, they took the criminal magistrates to sit on those cases, because for 2 days a week I was not in the main building, but at the court outside the periodical court. So
My last question, when you started in the Department of Justice as a clerk and as a prosecutor and magistrate, there is no evidence that at that time you opposed the system of apartheid or you had an issue with it. Any comment from your side on that?
I'll be quite frank with you. When I joined the department in 1975, I was 18 years old. I was apolitical, was not interested in that. And yes, we didn't know better. But when I came in the mid-80s, I became disgusted with the system, if I can use the word. And I can recall instances. At that stage, Eskom was busy with the building of the power stations just outside Kriel. The Kriel. And there were migrant workers. And at that stage, there was a different department of Bantu Affairs, as it was then, and the Department of Justice. And they also had criminal jurisdiction, but then they raided the hostels. And then the following morning when you come there, you have a lot of people who were brought before court on really fancy charges, which in my view never existed. It was small things like, and it was inhuman in my view, where a migrant worker had a girlfriend in his room in the evenings, and they were raided, and then they were there brought before courts. I was tapped on the knuckles by my head of office, because in the majority of those cases, the furthest I went was the caution and discharge of those people, because I thought it was immoral to send that people for 10 days or for 15 days to jail, because I could not live with that.
It's okay. All right, thank you very much, Acting Chief Justice.
And if I can continue on that, that is what changed me to a large extent. And that is why when I got the opportunity in 1988 at Justice College, where I went out of my way to accommodate, at that in 1988, a single black student in the second year, Mosampaga, and later as the numbers grew, I tried to make it for them as easy as possible to be accepted by the majority of the other people.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Notjetsi? Oh, you're covered. Okay, all right. Commissioner Tsebe?
Thank you, ACJ. It's part of the follow-up of the complaint, advocate. In Nadel, in their comments on your application, and I'm sure you would have been provided with the comments. There are a number of things they raise, one of which is that you are not progressive and are anti-transformative despite some of the projects you've dealt with. But they also say, and I just wanted to find the truth, just hear your views, because I'm not sure what is referred to here, that candidates' attitude towards and relationships with other colleagues has to be interrogated further. And I just wanted to know from you if you know about this and if you have any responses. I just thought to give you an opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner. I've seen this, and this is in stark contrast to what BLA says. This is in stark contrast to what my colleague or my big friend, from the Tswana Society of Advocates, Manala, says, and as what in my recommendation, my nomination letter, what Mosampaga says. I fail to see, with the greatest respect to the author of this, my attitude towards it. If my attitude was not towards making a better place for all, especially previously disadvantaged, I would never have involved myself in the Transformation Committee. I would never involve myself in the transformation of the Rietfontein Primary School so that we can utilize the facilities for all people and to have suitable accommodation for primary school scholars of other colors. I would not have been involved at the Jacaranda Children's Home, where there are 12 boys, of whom 7 are black, to see that we can get those, especially the black guys. We've got them in schools in the vicinity so that we can take them, that they at least obtain a matric so that they can make something of their life. Because if we don't do that, we may as well just return them to the streets where they come from. And I'm not prepared to do that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ed.
Mr. Holland-Müter, how long ago did you start getting involved in those transformation activities?
Sorry, Chief Justice?
How long ago did you start getting involved in those transformation activities?
Since the early 80s, when I realized that it should be done. In 1988, I already started when I accommodated Mr. Mpaga, and later on, other students who came to the college. When I tended to the bar, where I became involved in the Transformation Committee, and also in a subcommittee with regarding to interview pupils at the beginning of pupillage who are in need for funds. And Mr. Manala and many others have gone through my hands. And the questions and the investigation which I conducted resulted in all of them who qualified for financial assistance to get that. The situation is the GCB has got a pool of money. And depending on all the applications from all the participant bars, they have to decide on how much can every deserving candidate get. I was instrumental also at the Pretoria bar that despite the GCB's amount which is available, we also made within our limited forces at the Pretoria bar for funds available so that we can assist where there's a need. So it's been an ongoing process, But the first milestone is around about 1988.
Yes, okay. I see here that when it comes to reported cases in which you appeared over the past, 21, 22 years in practice from 98?
Yes.
There are only actually 2 that you list here, which are reported in, or 3, which are reported in serious law reports.
Yeah.
Is that, you agree with that?
I agree.
The others are what, JDR and JOL.
And safely, and yes.
Which really are not the serious publications.
Well, I disagree with that, with the great respect, Chief Justice, because SAFLI is a very cheap reference for people, young practitioners who cannot afford to go into the other publications at random, and therefore there's a contribution from each member of the Pretoria Society of Advocates per month on a voluntary basis, so that SAFLI can be kept alive. And I have presided in matters where counsel stands up and he refers me to one of my own cases or to a case of another judge who's been reported on SAFLI. So
no, I'm not saying that SAFLI is not doing a good job.
Yeah.
But cases in which you have appeared over the past 21, 22 years or so in practice as an advocate that have been reported in the publications that we are all used to in terms of law reports are only 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, if I can comment on that, it's not in my hands whether it's reported or not.
No, that's fine. That's just a fact. And then as a judge, as an acting judge, I've not been able to see any that have been reported in those types of law reports.
No, but
have I missed something?
No, but for the SCA confirming judgments and then the SCA judgments are reported, you're correct.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Commissioners on the virtual platform, anyone who has questions? Is there anyone with questions?
Acting Chief Justice, I do have one question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, Advocate.
Good afternoon.
That's Judge President Lee, is that right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I see you are a member of the Christian Lawyers Association in Pretoria. And you state here that the aim is to assist the poor people of the inner city. Can you elaborate on that?
Commissioner, it is also clear from some of the motivations which were filed by people is that I spent quite a lot of time doing pro bono work. And doing pro bono work means that, and at some stage I was the convener of the pro bono committee at the Pretoria Society Advocates for about 5.5 years. By doing pro bono work, it means that you assist people who cannot afford legal representation. And 95% plus of those instances are previously disadvantaged people, which I represented. I also, in some of these instances, because the secretary on our floor, on our group where we were then in High Court chambers, she was also the secretary of the pro bono committee, and together with her, we tried to have junior counsel, when necessary, appointed to matters which is not so difficult as soon as possible when the requests were received from either the Law Society or the university legal clinics to assist these people pro bono because they cannot afford it for themselves.
And they are in the inner city.
Sorry?
They are in the inner city. Maybe you can.
Yes, for sure.
Where's the inner city?
Sorry, it's not clear what.
Please speak up, Judge President.
Yes, what I'm saying is the inner city. I just wanted to get that location clear.
Well,
What do you mean by inner city?
what we were assisting, it was depending on, it was unopposed divorces, it was unopposed
No,
matters.
where
No,
in
no,
the inner city?
she's asking you to tell her where to find the inner city when you say inner city. That's what she's asking.
So can you just repeat that, Chief Justice?
Well, I'm reading your sentence. You say the aim of this association is to assist the poor people of the inner city. So my question is, where is your inner city?
Well, it is to, maybe that is not the correct word, is to assist all people who are in need for assistance.
Okay, thank you.
But when you said inner city, you must have had in mind a certain place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she's asking. What place were you talking about?
Well, I normally, when you look at pro bono work and you see on, these are people who are on the edge of society. These are people who don't have the means, the majority, the places, etc. So yes, maybe
No,
it's
you're
just,
talking about people. She's asking about the place.
yeah.
She
No,
says,
no.
what place were you talking about?
What places?
What place? When you said inner city, what place were you talking about?
Well, the inner city, if I'm correct, that is Pretoria, the inner city in Pretoria. For those of you who haven't been there, you'll find a lot of these people there.
But why is it so difficult to say that's what you are talking about?
No, sorry, I couldn't hear correctly, but no, there are many people who need this assistance, especially in the inner city, yes.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
It looks like we have come to the end of this interview. Yes, we have. Thank you very much, Mr. Holland-Müter. You are now excused.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.